Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Water Online Show, brought to you by Water Online, the leading online destination for the water wastewater market. I am your host, Travis Kennedy, publisher here at Water Online. Joining me, as always, my partner in crime, my co-host extraordinaire, Mr. Worldwide, chief editor here at Water Online, Mr. Kevin Westerling. Kevin, we are back with another episode of the Water Online Show, and I dare say this might be one of the best.
I hope so. I think so. Super excited to be here.
So a lot of the episodes that we've been doing this year center around a number of different issues, but one in particular comes to mind, and that is tackling a question that comes up again and again and again across the industry. And specifically what that is what's actually holding back innovation in public and private water and wastewater systems? Because despite there being no shortage of new technology or bold ideas and private sector momentum, adoption inside municipal systems continues to lag behind. From funding constraints to regulatory pressures to the growing influence of, get this, Kevin, AI. Have you heard of those two letters?
Oh, yeah. Too much.
Yes. Those two letters
not going away.
Everywhere. Those are top two vowels on the Wheel of Fortune, and they end up taking over an entire world. No matter what business you're in, industry you're in, you cannot go to work, get up in the morning, or go to bed without knowing how AI has been touching and potentially influencing your life. But also the influence of data centers, digital tools. We should be exploring how public and private entities approach change differently, because as a matter of fact, this comes as no shock to many of you out there that they actually do. And also what each side can learn from the other. That's one of the main reasons why we're here. We are joined by an industry expert thought leader that will have a lot of commentary to get us closer to the answer to that question about what is actually holding us back, specifically around AI, digital transformation, issues of that nature. Mr. Jim Good, president of Parkview Advisors, welcome to the Water Online Show.
Thanks, Travis. Thanks, Kevin. Great to be here. And I don't know if this will be one of the best shows, but I can guess it will be one of the goodest.
Well, pretty good there.
I see what you did there. I'm going to start this off by letting the audience know, or you, Jim, are going to let the audience know who you are, what you do, what does Parkview Advisors specialize in. Just try to give us a little bit of background if you could.
Sure. Well, I come from a long background in the water sector on both coasts of the country, with private utilities, with contract operators, with public agencies. And about 10 years or so ago, after that kind of ran its thread, I started my own business called Parkview Advisors. And really what we do is pretty simple. We work with water, and when I say water, I mean water, wastewater, stormwater, you name it, entities of all sizes and all types. Frankly, most of them are quite small. And help them with whatever issue that might be most pressing. And
whatever issue, anything. Right? Okay.
Typically, those issues are around regulatory compliance.
As always, yeah.
And we have seen, it's died off a little bit, but we have seen a lot of water meter network upgrades from, say, manual reads to automated meter reading, or AMI, so some sort of digital smart meters, but it runs the gamut. And sort of the niche I occupy is I have it's just me, but I have a ever expanding and ever shrinking pool of SMEs that I work with to assign to a particular task. And if that task has to do with biosolids, I've got a person. If it has to do with O&M, I've got a person. So really, whatever the issue is that faces the utility, we put together a team that best positioned to work on it and address it and solve it for our clients.
Sounds like there's a lot going on there. It's not doesn't sound like there's any problem that they could throw at you that you don't have at least somewhat of an experienced answer for. So that's good.
Yeah, and it's great to have you, Jim. And well, we know. And speaking about tech adoption, I'm sure you've worked with public and private entities. You've also worked at public and private entities. I see in your background you work with Pittsburgh Water and Sewer, as well as California Water Service Group.
Yinzers, the Yinzer water
Yinzer,
people out
Yinzer
there
Water.
in Pittsburgh.
So
and my office is downtown.
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 Yep.
So having that experience with both sides of the equation, how does the approach to adopting new technology differ between public and private, or does it at all?
Well, I'm going to get a little nuanced here. I think between the bigger public agencies and the private water companies like Cal Water, the investor-owned utilities, the big ones, it really doesn't change that much because the nature of the sector is very conservative. And I don't mean that in a political sense. I just mean that in a risk-taking sense. And
No doubt about it. There's no way to argue that point. Yep.
right. And there's really, when you think about it, what do customers want?
Mm-hmm.
They want to turn on the faucet and get water 24/7 that they know is safe.
Sounds so simple.
Yeah. And they want to flush their toilet and get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, after that, beyond that, and the price is reasonable. Beyond that, customers they don't really care, right? I mean, it's do those two things, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And so there's really no driver in a big sense from that end to try new things. New things come along and are adopted. Don't get me wrong, but the cycle is slow. Where I think you see a little bit more willingness to take on new technologies and apply them more quickly is with the contract ops business. So a company like Veolia or Jacobs or Infomart. And that's because that's a true competitive business where those companies are competing with each other to get contracts to operate, say, the West Basin recycled water facility out in Los Angeles. And so that's going to drive them to adopt more quickly innovations that are both efficient and effective and efficient, and drive down costs so that they can win a competitive bid. It's kind of a simple economics in a sense, but that's really where I see the big difference.
So with that being said, though, in your experience, well, I want to talk about innovation here from the standpoint of barriers. So you had mentioned, and you're 100% correct, at least in our opinion here, of that the water and wastewater industry is very slow to adopt new innovation. There's a lot of reasons for that. And a conservative approach could be part of it, but the other part is regulations and government and limits and, time of testing and a bunch of other things. So in your experience, I'm curious, what really are the biggest barriers to innovation within municipal water systems? Like, what are they?
Yeah.
Tell the truth. Out with the truth, Jim.
Oh, you want me to tell the truth?
Out with the truth.
I was not prepared to. Well, here's what it is, and in my opinion, and I've worked with a number of companies in the innovation space, and what I know happens is they're defeated by the size of the sector.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked. There's 45,000 water utilities. There's 16,000 wastewater utilities. There's 9,000 stormwater utilities. So you get these really smart people who have a great idea, and they think, I'm going to have the next unicorn,
right?
Which of course means $1 billion valuation company.
The next Netflix, the next Uber, the next disruptor.
Exactly. And then they get their product or their platform installed in 10 systems, say.
Yeah.
And maybe they get to 50.
Yeah.
And then they run out of seed capital. And how do they start bringing in the revenue to survive on their own and cross the proverbial valley of death, which is not an original term to me. That's the startup world, but it very much applies as well in the water business. And so,
yeah, I've heard that term. Yeah.
So it's hard to produce a great product and keep it going long enough for it to be widely adopted, because you're up against literally thousands and thousands of potential buyers and in a slow to adopt marketplace. So what runs out first? Sort of, your energy or your money, or the market's slow movement.
So you're, in a sense, these companies are running a race, right? And they need to come in first. Like there is no plan B. Like there is no second place. You have to outrun your funding. You have to outrun your competition. You have to get to a point to the other side of that valley that's going to make it operationally possible for you to continue as a business, even if the idea is revolutionary and a disruptive idea.
Correct.
There's definitely headwinds.
The only potential plan B is some, what they call it, strategic. So a big existing company.
Right.
But there aren't a lot of those, right?
Right.
I mean, once you get out of Xylem and I mean, I have trouble even naming the other ones.
Yeah.
There are a lot of buyers out there.
Yeah.
But that makes it tough too.
Yeah. So not specific to any one technology or one specific technology, like this company trying to beat that company at this specific thing. On the whole, how do private sector organizations help accelerate technological advancement across the water industry? So you mentioned the efficiency gains when you're a private water supplier. But does that bleed over, that technology implementation, that innovation, does that bleed over into the private sector as well? I mean, the public sector, I'm sorry. Yeah. Did they pick up on that? Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
The municipal.
I mean, I think, and the way it does beyond the efficiency approach is, what do they call it? A force multiplier. Because, let's face it, more and more of the folks in the sector, look like me in terms of their age, and there aren't a lot of younger folks going into the business. And
for those of you just listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, Jim is the ripe old age of 27 years old. So he's being way too modest. But go ahead, Jim. We understand what you're saying. The silver tsunami, the big gray retirement, whatever you want to call it. Yes, we've covered that on this show, so we understand where you're
brain drain.
Yeah,
exactly. And so, but the requirements on the utilities haven't changed, right? I mean, you still have to comply with the Safe Drinking Water Act. You still have to get the bills out.
Ideally, yeah.
Yeah. And so how do you do that? And so to the extent that a system, an AI backed system can stretch the capabilities of an employee with a certain skill, or do some of their work and free them up to, say, fix a well that's gone up, or rewind a motor, or what have you, then that's a way that the new technologies can be adopted really by the private sector, the public sector, because there's a clearly identifiable need. What do they say? A pain point that needs to be filled, and so technologies can help with that.
I'm curious to get a little bit more specific on that in terms of technologies and how they're transforming water management right now. So we had touched on, you had even mentioned AI being one of them. I mentioned it in the introduction. Are there any other technologies out there right now that you sort of have your eye on as ones that are really sort of changing the way that utilities can operate, potentially even be more efficient? What's out there that can act in the role of the disruptor?
So it's okay for me to name a specific.
You can.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
see what you got.
Yeah. I mean,
Let's go.
That's it.
All right.
If Kevin says it's all right, it's
Right.
okay.
We don't script this.
Yeah, go for it.
So-
Who's about to get hyped?
Yeah. A company that is really interesting is Doppler, DAPLER. I don't know if you gentlemen have heard of them, but
I'm from New Jersey, so we pronounce it Doppler.
Wolfle. So while they're not, they have applications outside the water sector.
Yeah.
They very much are the biggest share of their customers are water and wastewater utilities.
Okay.
And what it is it's a system that helps you prioritize and respond to work. I want to say emergencies, but it doesn't have to be an emergency. Work that needs to be done. So it helps you plan out your work and figure out what's going on. And what it does in this case is the AI, and I'm by no means am I an expert in AI, but it 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 reaches out into all the social media, and it associates social media with a specific site. And so when you start to get phone calls, hey, there's a leak on I see water running down my street.
Yeah.
In most cases, there's going to be people out there on TikTok or X or Facebook taking pictures, chatting with their neighbors. And so it aggregates that information. And what it does is it enables you to figure out what's going on before you even roll a crew and get out there. And one example that they give is there was water running down the street in a park in the middle of the night. I think it was in Arizona, and obviously water running down the street anytime in Arizona or anywhere is bad, but in Arizona it's particularly bad.
Sure.
And so
water scarcity. Yeah.
Yeah. The water company was getting emergency calls. Hey, you've got a leak, go fix it. But because of the
Sounds like a prank call joke.
Right. AI's ability to gather information, what they determined was it was actually not a leak in the water pipe. It was the parks department had left the sprinklers on watering the lawn.
It's always the parks department. Every time.
Stinking
Kevin. I keep telling you about the parks department. But go ahead, Jim.
Yeah. So they were able to, make a call or send an alert to parks. Hey, you need to go shut that off. And so what it doesn't sound like much, but what it meant is you didn't have to wake up and roll a crew at 2:00 in the morning, which is slow and expensive. And in this case, the wrong response.
Right.
And so something like that multiplied, 1,000 times a day especially in a bigger system, that's real savings and really allows you to make the best use of your crew. Similarly, the same technology is used in a city in California. And what it's done is because they're able to organize and prioritize work, it's cut down on the overtime that is needed to address issues. Now,
right,
crews don't love that, right?
Sure.
They were getting overtime, but the taxpayers, the ratepayers, they're happy with that because their rates are being used more efficient. So
I'd be curious how many of those workers working overtime were happy that they had to work overtime, though. You know what I mean? Like
they get extra, right?
They get paid 1x or 2x. At the same time, though, having worked jobs in my past, in my younger years, where I was paid by the hour for certain jobs, and overtime came up, I don't remember anybody being excited about it.
I bet you do. I bet you those guys' wives were really excited.
You were just lazy, Travis.
that could be it too. Yeah. That could definitely be it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll need to work through that now, and I want to be thinking about that. Was I lazy? Maybe I was.
Wait, you're not anymore. You hustle. So
yeah, but in Pittsburgh, you not just there, but I remember in particular, you get grumbling for that very reason, and so we'd say, well, does your wife know you don't want the overtime? Man.
Get you out of the house, plus you make more money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a double win for the spouse.
Yeah. Exactly. So, Jim, that technology you described seems very cool, and there's no shortage of very cool technologies out there that can probably really help public utilities. So how can private organizations help public utilities in getting those technologies into practice?
Well, I mean, I think the best way is to make them part of their offering. So before there was AI, not before there was AI, but before AI was all that, it was digital, right? Or smart. Sure. Everything was going to be smart and digital.
The smart city.
Right. Or IoT. Yeah. And now we're on to AI. And what I think you see is when a private firm figures out how to harness that and make it useful to the customers, that's how it spreads. And an example of that would be Badger Meter. Mm-hmm. And they've done, I think, a very good job of doing little bolt-on acquisitions
Yeah.
that tie in with their basic technology. Water meter, pretty simple technology.
Yeah.
But now it's basically a computer that measures water. But they've added other products so you can measure pressure, water quality, and you tie that all in. Everybody has water meters, and so that becomes either part of the basic offering or a very simple module to add on. And um, from that approach, where a water meter has gone from being just a mechanical device that
Yeah.
measures flow to essentially a node on a network that can do almost whatever you can imagine you need to know about the water flowing through the pipes.
No doubt about it.
Pretty amazing. So
I think Badger Meter rebranded it as Blue Edge, if I'm not mistaken. But you're 100% correct. Yeah. So I want to talk about money. I mean, who doesn't like talking about money, especially in an open forum like this, where everybody around the world can sort of hear what we have to say about money. So with that being said, how much is in your bank account right now? No, that's the wrong question. Sorry. I'm on this one. How do funding and regulatory constraints shape technology decisions differently in public versus private organizations? So I imagine that the reactions to regulatory constraints are different. Reactions to the way they're funded are completely different. How do you differentiate the behaviors that go on within the public versus private organizations when you're juxtaposing it to those two specific issues?
right. Well, this could be an onion with so many layers.
Let's go the first layer and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that the basic argument is going to be the same, which is sort of the present value of. Okay, so present. I don't mean to get all caught up in terminology, but if we use money that was intended for replacing water mains, some percentage, and we use it to invest in a platform that helps us work more efficiently, and in the long run, is that going to make the ratepayers better off? So that, to me, that's the basic analysis. That's layer one.
That's the ultimate question, right? It's the ultimate question that either one should be asking, but either private or public. Is this what the customer would want?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then, there's the next layer is, well, where do you get the money? I mean, I don't know about you guys. You talk to a lot more utilities than I do. I don't think you've run into too many utilities. We've got plenty of money. We're just waiting for additional priorities to invest in it.
Well, Jim,
say it, Travis.
I'm going to say it because we say it every episode on the Water Online Show. Kevin and I do indeed talk to quite a large number of utilities. We have never, ever come across an overfunded utility. Not one. And if you're out there listening, call into the show. We will get you on air right away. But yes, we agree with you 100%.
Yeah. So that that can make it tough because it's not just them complaining that there's not enough money. There's real drivers, right? Just when you think you're on top of the regulatory requirements, new regulation. So now you've got to remove PFAS. And I'm not saying that you should.
I'm with you.
It's okay. Wow, we just invested $500 million to address iron and manganese.
Yeah.
Gosh, we're way ahead. Our customers are happy. Oh, no, not PFAS.
Yeah. Before that, it was arsenic. I mean, you could keep going back and back and back.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's hard, not impossible, but it's hard for a utility to say, okay, well, our main mission is to provide our customers with safe drinking water and discharge wastewater safely.
Yeah.
To move capital from those objectives to something else, unless they can show that by doing that, it helps them meet that primary mission, the prime directive for Star Trek fans.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. Yes, absolutely.
So we've referenced it and we talked a little bit about it and around it, but when it comes to AI, data analytics, all that digital and smart water stuff, what role or impact do you think it's really going to have in the future of water operations?
Well, it's going to slowly have an impact, just because everything that has an impact in the sector is slow. But I think, you're starting to see some companies come along that are targeting their AI platform to the specific needs of the water sector. So if you go out and get Claude or ChatGPT and say, hey, I need your help with water, and you enter something, and I have, you're information, but is it going to be focused enough to help the person on the front line, an operator? And to do that, you have to train it on what's specific to not only the water utility, but not of the water sector, but a water utility. So your discharge permit,
a lot of prompts, just a lot of prompts,
DMRs, your regulatory record, chemical consumption, power tariffs, time of, what's the demand in the middle of the night versus in the middle of the morning. So something like that, if you can train AI on those specifics and tie that in, that's going to be extremely useful, because, and there's some platforms out there that are already starting to do that says, hey, I'm an operator. How do what can I expect the power demand to be in the morning, in 2 days, because the weather forecast is for, 12 inches of rain.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 inch of rain, whatever.
12 inches of rain.
Okay.
Wow, that's a lot of snow.
Well, my wife is from New Orleans, so
there we go. Oh yeah. Yep.
That's called an afternoon.
That's it. Yes. Then it's humid and 97 degrees. But yeah, go ahead.
But when you can do that, see, that can be very useful to an operator. And it can, getting back to an earlier comment, it can really help leverage the workforce and help them get things done. If you have a system that's specific to your sector, your utility, saying, hey, I've analyzed all this stuff, and you need to go make sure that this storage tank has been lowered down by half, because there's a lot of water coming in that you need to store during a storm. That's useful, and that beats having the person either drive out there and check. Maybe they are able to look on SCADA, but anyway, that kind of information it can be useful and helpful.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we had mentioned a couple of times in this conversation, and Kevin and I have noted it through various episodes of the Water Online show, regarding the pace at which innovation is adopted within the water industry. So we don't have to keep banging that drum. I am going to ask the question, though, about forward thinking. So for organizations right now, hesitant to modernize to new technology, whether it's AI, digital transformation, whatever the case is, what's the risk of not? So what is the risk of falling behind? Because when you juxtapose the two risks, I think they're going to be pretty surprised at what's really at stake here. So what's the risk of falling behind in that manner?
I think the big risk is a political backlash from your customer base.
Right.
Because to the extent this is known, your rates are either a lot higher than your neighbors, or they're just going up at an a quick pace.
Yeah.
Because you're not using the tools that are out there that could enable you to operate more efficiently. And 20, maybe 15 years ago, that was not that big of a deal, because water rates were going up at inflation rate or less.
Yeah.
Last 5 or so years, they've been going up at a rate greater than inflation.
Yeah.
And so now it really starts to hurt. I mean, when you get $100 a month water bill, you notice that. And so I don't know that we're going to see water rates ever come down, but people certainly notice when they go up, and they go up a lot. So, these tools, ultimately, at the end of the day, if they can help you provide, safe drinking water, get rid of wastewater efficiently, and do it relatively effectively and at an affordable cost, if you don't do that, that's your danger. And where does that not happen? It typically doesn't happen on the smaller and medium sized systems, regardless of their ownership, just because, they can barely find enough people to literally get out there and fix a main when
Right.
let alone anything else.
Yeah.
Go in a lot of these systems. Where's the information? It's on paper or it's in somebody's head.
Yep.
And so that's where the real problem is going to be more than anywhere else.
Right. So for those smaller guys, and really for anyone, this is another question that Travis and I like to ask every guest. And that's about the most important next steps. So based on your experience, what's the most important next step that water leaders can take today to be prepared for the future? And, that might depend on what you think are the biggest challenges in the future, or it could be a generic first step in how to get your organization in line to be ready for whatever may come.
The best first next step.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's how he likes to say. Okay, the official. We have
the official Water Online question in closing.
First, next, best step.
Yep.
All right.
First, next, best step. It doesn't even make any sense in English. Like it makes no sense whatsoever, right? But
okay,
Jim knows what we're asking.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Try your best.
Okay. Well, I think that so for the small and medium-sized systems, there's really a lot of folks out there that want to help you. And I know this because I belong to an organization in Virginia, the Water Environment and the AWWA chapters that have specific efforts out there to reach out to small systems, medium-sized systems, and get them the help and the tools they need. And there's things, it's not called Engineers Without Borders, but it's the same engineering force, maybe it's called.
Yeah, conceptually, it's
Operators Without Borders.
I forget. I'd have to look.
It might be a different thing.
But yeah, like RCAP, Rural Water Associations, things of that nature, and they'll do stuff for you for free. In Virginia, we've got a tool that's actually put together through the EPA. It's a free asset management tool.
Yeah.
So you can take all your assets, list them, list the age. It doesn't sound like a whole lot or much. It's just a nice little spreadsheet, but you'd be surprised, or maybe you wouldn't be surprised by how few systems even have that.
I'd be surprised that there's any systems out there that don't have Excel sheets.
Well,
that describe that data,
or but there are a lot that don't. And you can't effectively use AI or any other digital tool unless you digitize the data. And so that's a great first step. But the other thing is, I don't know if I can say this, but call me. I work with a lot of folks in this space, both utilities and providers. And believe me, the providers are hungry to get out there and see their systems deployed among as many customers as they can. And there are platforms out there that are really targeting the smaller systems. So it's not like they're devoid of an option. It's just because there's so many, because folks that are running these systems are frankly overwhelmed by the day-to-day. It's often hard for them to even know where to start. So shameless plug.
Well, that leads me right into an invitation for you to give a shameless plug. So you've given us some expertise, some thought leadership, your time, which is very valuable to help educate the marketplace on what they should be thinking about, what they should be considering, that they're not alone, that there's other paths forward to be able to correct some of these, fix some of these issues that are in front of them. All of this is valuable. So if somebody wanted more information, or how you can help them, or how you can work with them, or they just need some more guidance, maybe they need another layer of that onion that we were talking about earlier, except as it relates to what's going to be my first best next step, right? So how do they get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to move forward if they want to hear more?
Sure. Well, start on my website, which is Parkview Advisors, LLC. Very important, that LLC.
Yeah. Well, thank you for not doing the www. You'd be surprised how some guests will say, well, it's my website and it's www. Yes, we know that. All right. So say it again for all of those that may have been driving or not listening intently? Where should they go?
Parkview
Mm-hmm.
Advisors, LLC. Very important. Otherwise,
LLC. Yep.
Otherwise, we end up with a financial firm in Texas.com.
Yeah.
And that site will give you a nice peek into what we can do. And then if you like that, just tap Jim at in front of all that and send an email. So Jim at parkviewadvisorsllc.com. And we can help. We've done it all. I mean, from mundane stuff like, hey, my DMR is late, help me fill that out, to we're going to upgrade to smart meters. Done that.
Yeah.
So really, there's nothing we haven't done or can't do.
Sounds great.
Right.
Jim, president of Parkview Advisors, Mr. Good, LLC. Very important. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thanks, Jim.
Enjoyed it.
Great conversation, and honestly one that hits at the core of where we are as an industry right now. Because if there's one thing that stands out, it's this. Innovation alone is not enough. Adoption happens when technology, operations, and businesses, all of those realities can align. And that's exactly where Water Online comes in. Our goal here isn't just to showcase new solutions. It's to help bridge the gap between what's possible and what actually works out in the field and in your neighborhoods and in your towns. Whether it's through conversations like the one we just had here with Mr. Jim Good of Parkview Advisors, or case studies or technical insights, or connecting utilities with solutions providers who truly understand their challenges. Everything we do here is about helping you make smarter, more confident decisions. So if you're a utility trying to navigate digital transformation, AI, all of the challenges that are out there that you face on a daily basis, we're here to help you work through all of that. As always, thank you for listening to the Water Online Show. If you found this episode valuable, please be sure to subscribe, share it with a colleague, and stay connected with us at Water Online. Until next time, keep pushing the industry forward.